me softly. I have to choose. Should I leave or should I stay with you? I am addicted, we are too close. One more day and I'll overdose. Killing me softly, I gotta choose. Keep my life or lose myself in you. I'm so addicted, it has to end. But why do I keep holding your hand? I am stuck and I'm hypnotized. Winds on you, come and stay the entire night. My mind is buried, rescue out of sight. Crazy me, what do I not see? That you are living poison in my veins. Put the needle in me so that I feel free. I'll let loose, give you the key. Pray that you'll be dead to me. Ashamed, this is my destiny. Crazy me, what do I not see? That you are living poison in my veins. Put the needle in me so that I feel free. I'll let loose, give you the key. Pray that you'll be dead to me.
Take down and emotions feel like I never did before. Life shows him unspoken reels of the movie I ignored. Blue skies on a broken sea and I'm stuck up on the shore. I never thought you could see me, but you did. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're called, falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind, yeah. Colorblind. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're calling, falling out of line. colorblind. Yeah. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're colorful, out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're colorful, out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind. Yeah.
Big way when I'm walking, pray when I'm talking this to you. Fight for my attention, for your ascension, you must prove it. 'Cause if you can find it, you don't confine it, you let it move. Make way for the genie, scream for the dream, may come true. Have you ever played with a queen? I can show you what I mean. I can make you feel free. I got you and you know me. Can you meet me on my level? Oh baby, is your reign over? Can you battle with the devil? Oh baby, is the game over?
Slow down. That's probably because you haven't been using Clean My Mac X, which will help.
Better leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah blah blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Car era lore. Call me Levi playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put
What up? What up? How's everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of Web3 Weekly Alpha. It's your boy Serpunk, where we dive into everything happening in the digital renaissance in the previous week. NFTs, crypto, all kinds of news and charts to keep you up to date as this space moves incredibly quick and takes a ton of time, but we do that for you. Sit back, grab a drink, hang out with us, Next Copy's virtual bar, and we're going to go through everything and just catch up with all the alpha. All right, let's jump right in, because you know that there's never a dull week here in this space. We always like to start off with some charts just to look at the NFT market and just kind of see where everything is with momentum and see if there's any opportunities that we can catch. All right, so we like to always start off with the two leaders of the market, Mutant Ape Yacht Club and Bored Apes, of course. So as you can see here, it's just really been a chop fest over the last several weeks. I mean, we kind of had a nice little run here after the major bottom. But ever since then, it's just kind of been sideways action, especially with this Blur airdrop farming. There's really not been a lot of organic buying, and we'll show some stats in a minute here. But Bored Apes seem to be showing the same thing. What was kind of interesting is after that panic last week with Machi Big Brother getting dumped on, you did see people come in and buy that up. But, excuse me, again, this is just kind of going sideways. There's really not too much going on there. Checks by Jack Butcher. This is a special project. It's been up tremendously, and somehow it continues to hold up just fine after such a big move. And I think it might not be done. I think he's got some things up his sleeves. He's been tweeting some alpha, and some rumors are that somehow checks is going to influence Opepins, which Opepins is supposed to be the PFP project that he's dropping. So I think there's going to be some really cool game theory happening, and nobody really knows, but they're holding on for the ride even still at these prices. And here, this was a cool little stat. Shout out to Delphi Digital, where they say the majority of unique owners only have one check NFT. As you can see here, 63% of holders in the check VV edition is a holder of just one. So incredible distribution data for this project. Checks. Opepin, as you can see, this thing really went parabolic last week, where it went from here all the way to above 1.5 ETH. It really gave a lot of it back, but it's continued to hold up right around this level. And I really do think it's because Jack continues to push out some alpha tweaks with the Opepin. He just tweeted this out and updated the metadata. Okay.
So where you have it? Oh, you have it. That's why it's like rubbing all over.
Sorry guys, give us 1 second. Could you hear me in the beginning or no?
Yeah. If you want to start from the top, I could hear you, but it sounded like a little muffled.
You want to should we just start from the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do that.
All right. We good? Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. What up, everybody? Welcome. It's your host, Serpunk, with another episode of Web3 Weekly Alpha, where we cover everything in the past week that is occurring in the digital renaissance. These extremely special and exciting times. All NFT news, crypto news, sales, what's coming up next, and of course, the charts to keep us up to date with the price action. So please sit back, grab a drink. We're in the Xgabi Metaverse bar, and we're just going to sit back and go through all the alpha so you guys don't have to. All right, let's jump right in. As you know, there's never a dull week in this space, and there's a ton of cover. So we always like to start off with the chart work with the NFTs. And really, I've moved to the weekly chart on these since we do this show weekly, and we don't really need to get caught up in the little wiggles in the market. So, but let's start off with the leaders, Muon Apes, Bored Apes. As you can see here, the Muon Ape chart is not doing much. It's just in a bunch of chop. And it's kind of been like that for the last several weeks. Blur airdrop farming has probably something to do with that, as it's just the majority of buyers are selling the NFTs the same day. There's not a lot of organic buying happening right now, and a ton of new unique traders coming in to provide that liquidity or demand. And that's kind of what reflects here on this chart. And you'll see the same thing here on the Bored Ape chart, where you did have that panic last week where Mando dumped those apes onto Macho Big Brother. And what's interesting, they did come in and buy that up, which is cool to see. But again, we're still just in this range. This is sort of a big level here. I'm seeing how we're going to react to that. but just not much going on. Checks, Jack Butcher's project, one of his projects, is very interesting. It's a special project. You've had this huge run up, and holders have held through that. There was a decent pullback, but again, they're holding above this 1.5 level. If we can get back above this 2 ETH, I think it's really going to go. But he's been sharing a lot of alpha on Twitter about what can potentially be coming. He's got some cool game theory, I think. There's some rumors saying that somehow Checks is going to influence potentially your PFP on the OPEPin, which we'll show next. And people are really looking forward to it, and I think they're willing to hold due to a couple of those reasons. Real quick, shout out to Delphi Digital, where they say, essentially what this chart is saying is that 63% of people holding Checks Edition are holding just one, which is a really good distribution metric, as there's more people who are just holding one and they won't want to sell because they want to have exposure to the project, opposed to it being held by just a bunch of whales who can sell some off just into any run. So this is healthy, really healthy distribution here for the Checks project. OPEPin, which is Jack's second project that is currently hot, which he leaked last week to be a profile picture project potentially. And you had this huge move last week. It sold off pretty heavy, and now it's just kind of holding in sideways action here. And again, I think it's because he's been hinting at some things, and people are just kind of waiting to see what happens. This was the OPEPin's metadata update this week, after he had hinted at this becoming a profile picture project of the Checks ecosystem, maybe. But this, I'm sure, is keeping people on the edge of their seats, wanting to hold. And I mean, I think it looks pretty cool, but we don't know what it's going to evolve to, as he's always messing with the metadata and updating it. The Pudgy Penguins, of course, we've talked about them in the past a lot. They're one of the leaders, but again, after this breakout, they've just held sideways, which is kind of bullish action in the long term. It's kind of holding this large move up, and really all it needs to do is get back above the 6 ETH level, and Pudgies can really get going again. But again, it's just been sideways for a while. Not much going on to either direction. Killer Bears has also been one that's been running, but again, it's just kind of stuck in this triangle sideways action. They keep buying off this 3 ETH level. Let's see if they continue to do that. We can get back above that 4. So, something that is worrisome is that the old quote-unquote blue chip projects, like your Clone X's, Doodles, Moonbirds, they're not getting much love, right? They're sitting below their support levels, and you know, at like 52-week lows. So there's just not much going on here with Clone X. Same thing with Moonbirds after their announcement, which we'll be going into details to show all their new updates. People just didn't really get too excited, and it's still below its long support here, and just long term in a downtrend. Same thing with Doodles. Just not much love going into these blue chips right now. We're kind of not seeing much across the board, but this is not ideal action as well. The only one is Azuki. As Azuki continues to hold sideways above this kind of important 10 ETH base that was built here. And really all it needs to get is above this 15 to get going, and actually showing some healthy action, especially amongst the other ugly action within the quote-unquote blue chip NFT projects. Potatoes, the meme land ecosystem had a great run this week. As you can see here, Potatoes reclaimed this long-term support all the way back here of this kind of 1.6 ETH area. Kind of broke out, came back, retested that support, wiggled around it, and then once it got back above that, it just kind of took off. And I know they shared some news that kind of got it going. So that's been kind of one of the winners this week. Kanpai Pandas, we talked about this one being extended, and it's kind of just pulling back sideways and kind of just seeing where that's at. Captains, along with Potatoes being in the same meme land ecosystem, had a big move this week. So you can see that 4 ETH mark was where you wanted to get above. When it got above that level, it really took off straight to 6 and kind of pulled back. So we are waiting on the reveal. We know that NFTs run on anticipation, and I'm interested to see what happens once they reveal the Captain's NFTs here. On-Chain Monkeys had that huge breakout with the news of them inscribing their entire project onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And what's impressive is that they've been able to hold that move, which is a healthy signal. And let's see what happens from here. All right, let's look at Ethereum and Bitcoin. We don't go into a bunch of the crypto charts because this is not primarily a trading show, but we just kind of want to give a little bit of where we're at in the short term, medium term. We had that big move off the lows as a weekly Ethereum chart and just kind of been going sideways. This is a very critical level here, the 1700 mark. As you can see, it became support, turned into resistance, still resistance, and we're kind of just chopping in here. So kind of seeing where we go from here. Same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin tried to break out, but it got rejected. The 200 weekly moving average seems to be a critical moving average, but also signal in following price. You can go all the way back to years where it kind of gets supported off this 200 weekly moving average, and now it's turning into support. So that's a key metric that I'm watching, and I'm hoping it can get above that so we can get a decent side move. I think Bitcoin has a decent support up in this 30K area. So if we can hold sideways here, the market doesn't completely fall apart. Once we get above this 25, things can get a little bit bullish again here. All right, let's jump into some things this week, some data and some news that it could potentially be impacting the markets. Shout out to NFT Statistics. He's always dropping the fire data every single week. This one was great. More than 80% of NFT volume today is bought by traders who also sell that NFT over the course of the same day. That's up. The amount of traders doing that is up 3x from 4 months ago. This is a big statistic. A lot of people are just buying a flip, buying an airdrop farm. There's not a whole bunch of people buying, a new group of people buying that's causing that demand. So that's why I think we're seeing a lot of that sideways chop action in a lot of these charts. Shout out to OSF, who him and Mondo dumped those apes last week on that legendary Chad trade, where he says 2023 is the year where we'll see NFT projects that raise that crazy valuations and their inability to figure out how to create new revenue streams besides just selling more NFTs and diluting their holders. I think we're definitely seeing that. We talked about that last week where we're seeing consolidation, merger and acquisitions, and then projects that just aren't delivering are finally running out of that royalty money, since the royalties are pretty much at zero. And you're kind of just going to see that over the course of the next year. I think that's a good point. All right. Silver Gate, which was the huge crypto bank that was supporting all these brokerages and crypto companies, gapped down another 50%. As you can see here on this chart, it gapped down 50% overnight after already being down 90% over the course of the year. From its all-time high, it's down 90% and then dropped another 50. And due to the fact that they weren't able to release their quarterly or their 10K financials, and probably because there's some weird shit going on with this company. Not sure if it's fraudulent, not sure what's going on. But over the course of just a week, Coinbase, Circle, Paxos, Galaxy, bunch of companies cut ties with them. One of the main reasons that they're down 50%. And right in this area is when BlackRock, State Street, George Soros, we don't know if they were outright buying, but there were some people coming in here trying to pretend like they were coming in to help the company. And really, they were just trying to cover up a bad company that was doing some bad things behind the scenes. And then all those people got caught. So it's not a good look for crypto, but it doesn't seem to have affected crypto too much. As you can see, crypto continues to kind of just be sideways. And a lot of these companies, Coinbase and all those, switched their ties with Silvergates over to Signature Bank, which is the other big crypto bank. And so they've been able to find a replacement. So things didn't get too bad on that news. So one of the big institutions that have been dumping on all of us this week has been Voyager. We know Voyager went bankrupt a couple months ago, but they are finally beginning to liquidate. As you can see here, they had about 150,000 of Ethereum in their wallet, and it's just slowly been getting liquidated. So it seems like we have some more to go. And I don't think that's going to crash the markets, but it's definitely some extra supply hitting the market in the short term. All right, so Mt. Gox, if you haven't been around in crypto, Mt. Gox was the first huge Bitcoin exchange blow up way back in the day, years ago. And it was really the only way to buy Bitcoin back then. And what's crazy is that exchange went bankrupt. Everybody who had money on that exchange pretty much lost it. But it comes to find out they didn't. What's happening now is Mt. Gox is actually starting repayments. So the quick take here by The Block, shout out to them, and Andrew Kang. Mt. Gox to Bitcoin Exchange, early repayments will start March 10th, happening soon, with a deadline by the end of September. These will be in a mix of crypto and cash. Shout out to Hal Press, where he says, Gox is essentially a $3 billion Bitcoin airdrop. So that's how much they're going to be giving back to people, I'm assuming, over the next couple of weeks. Some of this will result in Bitcoin sell pressure, but it's not clear it's a negative for the space because also it's bringing some wealth effect to some current holders. Most people probably were writing that money off like to zero, and the fact that they're getting it, these are attractive crypto prices potentially, so they may just start scooping it up. It could be a bullish event. I don't think it's too negative, but just something to keep an eye on here, as could be a little bit sell pressure, but it also could be some buy pressure into some other coins in crypto. All right, let's jump into the large sales. We like to see what whales are doing, and there's still some large demand for some of these grail pieces and amazing pieces of art. So shout out to Corporate Trash, where he says, an ordinal punk inscription, which we've been talking about ordinal punks on previous shows, number 585 was traded for 22.5 ETH and a noun, the equivalent to almost 4 Bitcoin. Pretty cool trade here, and you continue to see these large trades for ordinal punks. Shout out to Terrell, where his recent Sotheby's auction was bought for 22.5K. Amazing piece. Guy has amazing work. Congrats to him. Shout out to Hype Moon sharing the alpha. All right. So, kind of going to share a new format on some large, like rare NFT PFP sales, where I'm going to just show the evolution of price. So this is a Spirit Azuki, one of the rarest in the entire collection. It was minted for 1 ETH. It sold for 32 ETH to somebody else, 100 ETH to a different buyer, and it's just been flipped a couple of times here. But as you can see, every time it's been flipped, it's been for a pretty sizable profit. Even the person who sold it for 150 ETH was able to sell it for an extra 50 ETH, 200. So if you want to see the evolution of some of these large sales when I talk about them on the show, please provide the feedback. If not, we'll just continue to share the trades. But I just thought it was interesting that everybody here was able to make money on this Suzuki, even through all the bear markets. All right, shout out to Joe, where really a really interesting piece. Got a ton of love on Twitter. Shout out to Vincent Van Doe, where he bought it for 120 ETH. But this piece by Joe was called "Everything Is Temporary," and as you can see, it's a video of this man standing in different environments in short spurts through the video to just show that everything we do in life is temporary, and it really resonated with people. Shout out to Joe on the great piece and the great sell there. Huge news. We've been talking about the key for weeks. Finally, the key sells. They denied the UpDAO Pixel Vault's DAO last week for their offer. They even denied Memeland's offer, which they made an offer after that for 999 ETH. And eventually, it ended up selling for 1,600,000, just bonkers. And this is actually the owner of the key, Mangral, expressing the situation. I have agreed to sell the key for 1,000 ETH to a man named Adam. Super nice guy. Thrilled the sell went through. Special thanks to Yugalab for the incredible competition. And yeah, the transaction went down on OpenSea for 1,000 ETH. Oh my God. This is, I think this really is a paradigm shift in Web3 gaming. Great tweet by Ryan here, where he illustrates the top payouts in gaming history. As you can see, Fortnite, Shadowverse, couple of big payouts in these popular games. At 1.7 million, what this key sold for, this would be the third largest individual esports winning of all time. Web3 gaming is at its infancy. This was just a regular runner game that Doogie Dash put together. We haven't even been able to see what real Web3 games are doing to the space, and we're already at a number 3 in terms of payouts. Web3 gamers and streamers are obviously going to see this, and they're going to come to where the money is. So this was a huge moment. Shout out to Yuga, shout out to Mongral, everybody involved. And it goes to show how expensive a one of one into the Yuga ecosystem, like this golden key, can really cost. So really cool moment. Shout out to Jake Fried, where he sells this piece for 100 ETH. He really does some incredible work. This is a video. I just took a screenshot. Sold to Vincent Van Doe. Vincent Van Doe just continues to stack up grails. Pop Wonder. I really love his work, and this one is one of my favorites actually, where he is auctioning at Sotheby's, and it's part of his super rare series. So shout out to him on this beautiful piece. Really interesting sale here. Eric, who's a great NFT trader, always doing some crazy sales. He says this is the most insane trade he's ever done. A one of one Pudgy land, which is this one, and a bunch of other Pudgies and some rods and even a watch. Very just abstract trade for this really aesthetically nice looking ape, a space ape, some nice teeth. Crazy trade, but again, Eric has done. Eric was on the podcast, on the show last week because of his trade for Pudgies, and he's doing more trades for Pudgies. This guy is extremely bullish on the Pudgy ecosystem. I mean, the chart looks incredible, and the Luca founder is really been impressive. So I can't really blame him. Let's jump into some new mints. I've been seeing a lot of people on Twitter asking for information on what's up and coming in terms of drops. So I decided to put that into the show. Please give me some feedback on it and see if this is the kind of things y'all like to see. But shout out to Brian, who's an incredible artist in the space, where he launched the Blossom Generative project. It was a project that you were able to buy into if you were at a physical museum out in art. I'm sorry, the visitors that were at Art Dubai were able to get the password and mint the bundle NFT then and there. And there was a bunch of NFT artists or digital artists that were involved in this over at Art Dubai. And it ended up selling out. So congrats to Brian. Beautiful piece too. Mochaverse, which this is a creation of Animoca Brands, which they own Sandbox, the metaverse. It's a new mint coming out. So you can see all the details March 6th. The mint price, and you can look into it more, see if you can get on the whitelist. So, also Bright Moments, they're doing a drop called Passages by Aaron and Beretta. The mint pass sale is on Thursday, March 2nd. Special discount if you own Crypto Citizens. So take a look at that if you're interested. That's actually the starting price for the Dutch auction, 70th, going down over time. So. Ledger is doing a drop on their marketplace with OPI Products, collaboration with their first NFT partner on their marketplace. So look into that if that interests you. Let's go in on to some of the NFT news. Ton of stuff to go over. First off, I thought this was an incredible thread by 6529 this week where he talked about, as we know, he's hosting the first Metaverse University curriculum on Cyber. So you can actually go in there. They host classes on the Metaverse and Web3 all week with incredible speakers. But everybody thought the certificates that you're going to get at the end of the Metaverse course were going to be soul-bound tokens. A soul-bound token is when you get sent that NFT to your wallet, you are not able to sell it. It's stuck to that wallet for life. And he shed some light on why they're not going that route with the university certificates. As you would think, right? A license or diploma, something like that should not be able to be sold because it should be earned, right? But he shed some light on that. And he says, let's start with three main problems of soul-bound tokens. They're bad for security because if your wallet gets hacked, then and you can't move it out quickly to a new wallet, that could be an issue. They require centralized issuers to exist forever. So whoever issued you that soulbound token has to upkeep that token. So that's also another issue with soulbound tokens. And they impose difficult KYC burdens on issuers. So he says, I think these three options are game theories, that these are the three options that are superior to SBTs, as he says. If you're fully anonymous online and you mint to your Ethereum wallet, don't move it if you don't want the soulbound features. Move it if you only need to. So if you get a diploma sent to your wallet as a regular NFT, not a soulbound token, then you can treat it as a soulbound token by never moving it out of that wallet. So an employer can come in and see the history of that certificate as an NFT in your wallet and see that you minted it and you never moved it out of that wallet. Of course, we are dealing with public blockchains, and that's the beauty of that. So you can treat it as a soulbound token, and it's up to you. That's the first choice. The second choice is if you're just pseudonymous online, then you can mint the soulbound token to your ENS name, which is sort of like a domain website, but for Web3 and the Ethereum blockchain. Everybody should, I think, look into getting an ENS name if you haven't already. That way, if you connect it to your ENS, if you change your crypto wallet, you can then connect your ENS name to a new wallet, whichever wallet you want to hold that certificate or whatever it may be, NFT, in that moment. And if you're just completely doxxed, your government name is online, everybody knows who you are, then you could just mint it to your real identity, right? Web2 style, and you have the choice. 6529 gives some great advice where he says, in terms of connecting it to your ENS, his view is that ENS plus your digital identity or your profile picture and your transaction history, which anybody can go in and track your transaction history on your wallets and see what communities you've been a part of and what you've minted and what you're into, is likely to be a pretty important thing in terms of statistical identity on chain. So if you haven't gone in and gotten your ENS, gotten your digital identity, tied them together, I also believe in the future people are going to look at your credentials like this and your transaction history to see what you've actually done and not what you just say, right? So shout out to him on that. Creature World, which was an NFT project that came out last year by the artist Cole, kind of died off, but he was able to raise $1.7 million in an open edition for this art. This was the open edition. It came out in a variation of different colors, which I think was a super cool drop. It did more volume than the actual Creature Worlds NFT project in the last 11 months combined. Pretty insane. He also says something interesting that I think the space always likes to criticize. We talk of alternative revenue streams for NFT projects, but then when they do it in a way we don't agree with, then they're like, no, not that way. Sometimes feels like no one likes other people making money. On the other hand, Creature World, the NFT project, made $11 million at mint. In aggregate, they made $11 million. $8 million off the royalties, $3 million off the mint. And this made 1.7 just on the open edition. So pretty insane. A ton of these were minted, and congrats to Creature World and Cole. Hopefully they can put that back into the community and have some more runway. Doodles, they drop an update with their doodle map, as you can see here. Some of these things on the map have already occurred. Some of these may have not, like the Doodles music record label. As we know, Pharrell is an advisor to this project and will be advising on the music side of things, and I'm sure some more things. So really exciting. They didn't really share much more, but cool to see Doodles is finally communicating again, and you have something to look forward to. So we talked about this NFT, the Base, which was Coinbase's big news last week for their new released layer 2, which just makes things quicker and faster for the Ethereum ecosystem. But what they did is they took a page out of Jack Butcher's strategy as they updated the metadata. And the first update was to show some love to Jack Butcher, as he's kind of been the big talk lately and kind of was the inspiration. So this is, this was the actual NFT. And they updated the metadata to look like checks in the color variation of Coinbase's NFT. So as you can see, why is this a big deal? Well, because over 400,000 people have minted this free NFT by Coinbase. So a lot of people may be seeing this, and they're using the NFT to show respect to several builders in the Ethereum ecosystem. There's still time to mint it for free. So this was taken yesterday, so there's less time than that. But super cool to see. Braindrops is partnered with a new art marketplace, Sansa XYZ. Royalties are honored. So if you go on that marketplace, it kind of looks like OpenSea. It's trying to be focused more around the art and kind of be supporting more of the collector and the artist rather than the trader. So I think this is inevitable. More art-focused marketplaces, more of the art-focused projects going to those marketplaces and honoring royalties and providing a better experience for collectors, which is completely different than traders and Blur and all that good stuff that we've talked about in the past. All right, let's jump into Moonbirds' update. They really did drop a bomb this week and made clear to their community what their future holds and what their brand is about. So let's jump right in. Moonbirds. So essentially, in a couple of words, they say Moonbirds is the art collector's profile picture project. And what they mean by that is, well, first off, they scrapped their high-rise metaverse project. And the reason is because they want to focus more on the art as the cornerstone of the experience for Moonbirds. And they've done so much of this successfully with their first community that they built with Proof. And I think it's really smart for them to have pivoted back to what they've been doing right and just double down on that. So I think this is a positive for them. And now it's really clear who should be buying a Moonbird and what you're going to get from that. So they're really trying to focus on art collectors and artists and bring the high quality art experience to their holders. Shout out to them. Also, they did a couple drops, which I always think is cool. They do really high quality art drops to different holders based on the traits. So every NFT project will have different traits. This beautiful piece by Camila was airdropped to Moonbirds who had the flower trait. So as you can see here, in this pixelated Moonbird has the little flower right here. So anybody who had that flower trait got this airdropped to their wallet. Beautiful piece. It's an animated video. You should definitely take a look at it. And then they also did a drop for Moonbirds with the hoodie trait. So if you had the hoodie Moonbird, you were able to claim some hoodies with it's essentially Moonbird merch. So really fun, cool stuff, basic, but you love to see it. All right. Big news as well from Pixel Vault, who's kind of been just dead in this bear market, but very interesting drop. This whole reboot white paper for their new gaming ecosystem that's here to come. So let's jump into some of the details here. So as you can see here, it's called the Reboot. It's a gaming, they claim that the gaming ecosystem is broken and they're here to reboot it. Pixel Vault, who's the owner of this, says that Reboot empowers both gamers and developers through competitive rewards, auditable fair play, and community governance. So this is part of the white paper. You might say, well, what the hell is this supposed to be? Let's jump into a little bit of a summary by the wonderful thread, thanks to Zenton on Twitter. So if he could give you a short summary of what this protocol is, it is a gaming platform. Think about it like a digital arcade where anyone can build, anyone can play, and where the rewards from playing, creating games, and supporting games flow to the participants rather than third-party intermediaries, which is really what Web3 and crypto is all about, right? Is rewarding the people involved and letting the smart contract work replace the people who are always taking those fees in between, like the banks and any other service that does that in our world today. So let's jump into what exactly this is. And we'll move quickly, but I think it's something really cool that one of my favorite pieces of news this week. So if you think of this as like an arcade where it's a bunch of games of skill, if you choose to risk a little bit of some of your tokens that will be in this ecosystem on your skill and your performance, the protocol will match you with another player who also wants to play you for whatever it is you're putting up, right? So it automatically is a matchmaker. But what's interesting is that it matches you with somebody else based on your player rating. And the protocol will automatically know your player rating based on your gaming history. And it will update as you win and as you lose. So I thought that was really cool. So he says, if you're feeling degen and you really want to put on some risk, you can risk, let's say the tokens are called NTD. You can risk 10 tokens, and the matching engine gives you, let's say you're not that good, it gives, and you're looking to play someone who's fairly skilled. The matching engine, kind of like the way Las Vegas odds are, right? So if you have a 10% chance of beating somebody called draw, then the protocol will automatically know that and adjust the rewards for each of you based on the odds of what you have for winning or losing. But if you do that, obviously it's not the payout won't be fair. So if you both pay put up 10 tokens into escrow, and then whoever wins takes those 20 tokens. But if it's based on odds, it might be more than 20 tokens for one of the players. So then eventually that's where you bring in third parties. But the third parties are not a different company. They're just other individuals, right? So explaining that a little deeper is once you and your competitor commit to play, the protocol takes 10 of your tokens, hold them in escrow. But the problem is that the escrow won't be enough for the person who has lower odds, right? So that's where whales come in. And they are opportunists who see a way that owning the NTD token can benefit them. So what they do is they fill a pot of tokens within the reward machine, the rewards pool, and they put in about 500 NTD. So this is plenty of NTD tokens to pay out to the person who has lower odds, who can win more than the person who's more skilled. And there's enough tokens there to not be insolvent. But they're not doing it for fun. They're doing it because they're also going to get a little bit of a reward. And before that gets sent out to you, each of them will be making the game work. So it becomes a decentralized gaming ecosystem, kind of like the way DeFi works, where individuals could liquidity pool, they get the rewards, and then individuals are swapping the tokens, and there's nobody in between. So that's the ranking machine. If you win, you'll get a receipt for winning, kind of like Chuck E. Cheese, where you get those red tickets and then you go to the counter to get your prize. That's kind of how it works in this gaming goose as well. You win those tokens, but then you can come in, you can switch it out for in-game items, you can rent out the in-game items, all these cool things. So Zen10 says, actually, before the machine spits out your reward, it had to make sure you didn't cheat. So there's also individuals. This is the central arcade with real value. Potential cheaters abound in the unstoppable arcade. That's where you enter the validators. They check each game to make sure it's legit. So again, this is a completely decentralized protocol where individuals are doing all of this. So that's what this part looks like. The people making sure that nobody's cheating, called the validators. This is the reward pool, and it kind of shows the flow between everybody. Every game and every payout, the validators check to make sure the results are sound. And of course, they're also providing a service, making sure your games get paid out fair and square, and they also get a small cut for doing so. So everybody is incentivized to do right and make sure the game operates. And thank you to smart contracts, this is allowed and possible. So essentially, summary of what Reboot is: it's those who play well and play often, creators of the games. It rewards all these people, the people who play and who play a lot and are most skillful, the creators of the most fun games, the validators who make sure there's fair play, and those who offer different values, as we spoke about in the beginning. So, and that's really the way it should be, right? Incentivize aligned, creates a successful ecosystem. And it sounds great in theory, but I would love to see what this is going to look like. And I'm sure that Pixel Vault NFTs and Pixel Vault tokens are going to be first access into these ecosystems, and you may get a booster for utilizing their NFTs. So maybe finally you're going to see some valuable usage for the Pixel Vault ecosystem with this whole new Reboot gaming protocol. So really cool. Dive into the white paper if you want to know more about that. Jumping in, we had our first notable Pepe's drop this week. Shout out to Vincent Van Doe, where the Twitter went nuts when he dropped this. Over 200,000 were minted. They were like $8, $6, raised millions of dollars. So the way it worked is this became your entry into future art drops that will happen every Sunday. So they will be happening today. But this was last week's. So you get entered into a raffle if you have that previous Pepe, and then you have a chance to mint, and these were the ones that were minted this week. And it was highly successful. As you can see, the people who had a chance to mint, this one immediately is selling for a 0.36 ETH floor, this one for a 0.38 floor. These two were actually removed from OpenSea. Somebody reported a trademark violation. I'm not going to get into all of that, but these were actually selling for much more. So the demand was there. People loved the art, and it was a successful drop. So looking forward to seeing these on a week-to-week basis. This was also the one that was part of that drop, which was actually the first one, the Nadamoto. And it was selling for 3.3 ETH. So very successful drop. This is where you can see that OpenSea delisted this one as the artist from the chair, which is from another piece of art, came in and reported it as he didn't have, notable Pepes didn't have permission. We won't get into all that. But, so yeah, keep an eye out for notable Pepes that will be doing their second series drop today. You can check if you're on the whitelist for any of the drops on their website. Just go to their Twitter. Let's jump into some crypto news. So David from Polygon, which is big L2 ecosystem in Ethereum, announces Polygon ID is here. Users can build a digital identity that can be used across different applications and services while reducing the risk of identity theft or the need for multiple accounts. So this is that zero knowledge proof that we have been waiting in crypto. It's really going to change the game. And it's open sourced. They claim this is the first decentralized ID platform. That is not true. But Polygon is a larger ecosystem, so maybe it's the first time for a larger ecosystem dropping it. Using zero knowledge tech to issue credentials on chain, making it secure and privacy preserving to power identity in Web3. Pretty big deal. I think this is going to impact a lot of our lives, our medical records when people ask us for our social security, our licenses, all that. This is going to be a big deal in the future. Uniswap, they announced that they released a mobile wallet. There's a ton of competition in the mobile wallet space, MetaMask, Coinbase, all these guys. But this is one of the biggest protocols on Ethereum where everybody goes to swap tokens. So that's integrated directly into their wallet. It's usually cheaper. So maybe that can be the incentivization for people to get into a Uniswap wallet. I'm not sure that's enough, as so many people are already using different wallets. All right, this was massive news. It's not being talked about enough. And it was announced at ETH Denver, which was just happening this week. And so CoinDesk says Ethereum will announce account abstraction, which essentially, shout out to Rohan, where he essentially says, what can this do for the average user? And really what it is it provides new functionalities to features in wallets and different transactions. So you'll finally have the ability for wallet recovery, which, man, have people lost millions of dollars by getting their wallets hacked and not being able to get access to them. So now you can recover them socially, like the way that we can socially recover emails. You'll finally be able to apply some of those features for crypto wallets. Multiple sign transactions, so you can do multiple things in one step and save gas. Bundle transaction. You'll finally be able to do two-factor authentication with crypto wallets, which will provide another layer of security. And now companies will be able to sponsor transactions where consumers and users won't have to pay gas for every single thing, which has been a bottleneck for, I think, crypto up until this point. So these sound simple, but they're huge, and I think it's really going to be a big part of the onboarding of the next group of people into crypto. So this is me saying this is a huge deal. Account abstraction, or another simple word, smart accounts, are providing a massive update to crypto wallet UX, user experience. Literally some of the reasons that normal people will try crypto and then it be so complicated and leave. Some of these are being fixed right now with this update with smart accounts. So I think it's a critical moment. Take a look at that. This Shanghai upgrade, where finally Ethereum stakers will be able to withdraw their staked Ethereum that's been staked for so long is going to be not pushed back, but they're shooting for around April. Shout out to Blockworks. It's not delayed because they never really had an announced date. They're just kind of saying probably around April now. So keep an eye out for that. Some people saying that could be some supply hitting the market, or that what I think it is really is going to be bullish as more people will stake, as now Ethereum will be liquid staking, where you can stake unstake whenever you want, but also use that tokens for DeFi loans and other things. So, all right. I know we've talked about ordinals, which are the Bitcoin NFTs, several times in previous shows, but it seems like a really interesting time in Bitcoin, and I want to talk about a little bit about why. And Stacks is really at the middle of that, which you can consider it sort of like a Bitcoin L2. It's not exactly the same as it is on Ethereum, but just for simplicity reasons here. So essentially, what's happening? On the Bitcoin blockchain, thanks to ordinals, NFTs, as you know, Yuga is dropping those NFTs today on Bitcoin. That's going to be a big deal. It's developing a crypto economy on top of Bitcoin that presents a massive opportunity. This is happening for the first time in a long time. Despite all the challenges in creating a more comprehensive ecosystem in Bitcoin because of its limitations, right? So Bitcoin's base layer was not designed for composability like Ethereum, making it inefficient to do more complex things like NFTs. But building on a layer 2 on Bitcoin and securing value on the L1 is a better way to go. And Stacks is the most advanced L2 on Bitcoin right now. And Stacks has a major feature updates that is going to allow more functionality for ordinals and potentially a bigger ecosystem on Bitcoin for the first time. There's really only 3 L2s on Bitcoin: Lightning, RSK, and Stacks. Stacks, like I said, is the most developed. They have NFTs, they have domain names like the ENS I was talking about with Ethereum. You can do that with the Bitcoin domain service on Stacks. I plan on getting my domain name on there soon. Stacks has the most advanced NFT and DeFi ecosystem, and especially with their upcoming upgrade. This is going to be a transformational upgrade called Nakamoto, which is going to be later this year, enabling more traditional crypto applications to exist on the Bitcoin network. Be able to do things on Bitcoin that you've never done before. And the big deal is it's going to reduce execution times from 10 to 30 minutes to a few seconds. That's a huge upgrade here. And just think about the things that you can do. Similar to Ethereum L2s, but built on Bitcoin, are unlocking huge potential, right? So this is going to be released around, some people are estimating Q4 of this year. And yeah, so Stacks is really going to be a huge, potentially a huge part of this whole new Bitcoin ecosystem that was birthed by ordinals. And even maybe more important than the actual technical upgrades is the mindset upgrade that is happening within the Bitcoin community. As we know that Bitcoin maxis are a different breed. They've really been a part of why there hasn't been too much innovation on Bitcoin over the years, is because they've been so maxi on certain ideals. But let's read this real quick. The Bitcoin community has shifted towards a more open-minded attitude, recognizing the need for flexibility to ensure long-term success and sustainability. This has led to ordinals, a new primitive that allows data to be inscribed on the Satoshis, fueling an explosion of activity and inflection in the Bitcoin on-chain usage, right? So that's what this is here. You can see that when ordinals came out, gas fees on Bitcoin skyrocketed, as you can see here. Ordinals action has died off a little bit, but I think that this is just the beginning for ordinals, and as more functionality comes to Bitcoin with Stacks and all these L2s, ordinals is going to grow, and I think there's going to be some sort of use cases on Bitcoin, and maybe some that we've not seen before. If you want to read deeper into that, shout out to Hal Press, where he wrote an incredible blog post on this, and here's the information on that. All right, speaking on crypto, we've been talking a lot about Blur in the past. And we've also asked the question of, well, what is the Blur token for? What is it? Well, they did share, and they said that the Blur ERC20 token that governs key parameters of the Blur protocol. These parameters control the protocol's value accrual. So the community owning Blur token will decide what will happen to the token. if value from the actual platform in terms of fees or other ways will flow back to people holding the Blur token, this will be all up into the community and proposals, and they're going to run it like a decentralized organization, a DAO. So that was interesting to see. If you want to be a part of that, grab some Blur token. Again, some more news of the rest of the world being open and positive to crypto companies and entrepreneurs, as the US seems to be doing the complete opposite and pushing people out with their strict regulations. The UAE is opening a free zone dedicated to crypto companies. Also, another decent sized airdrop this week from Parallel, which is it's one of the most popular gaming projects in the space. It's a playing card game, really high quality. And they airdropped about $60 million of their token into the ecosystem called Prime. As you can see, it opened at around $4.50. It got sold off a little bit. It's usually typical in an airdrop. The market cap is around 387 million. So this was bigger than most people anticipated, as Parallel is kind of, just up and coming. But cool to see that they gave a lot of the initial airdrop to the users of the actual video game and the whole ecosystem. Also, interesting news, Bankless, which is one of the biggest crypto podcasts in the world, just raised $35 million for a crypto venture fund. And they're going to be, investing into the ecosystem. So they're going from podcasts to VCs. Pretty wild, but, congrats to them. And they seem like really good guys, really into crypto ethos, and looking forward to seeing how they deploy that capital. So, not much for music NFTs this week, but shout out to Sammy, who was able to sell out his Metagirl Open Edition song NFT, and 6,077 were all collected. He raised a total of 37 ETH, which is around $55,000 at current ETH prices, and they were very cheap. So, but still, again, it illustrates, and I'd love to double down on this because creators really need to be taking advantage of this. All you need is a small community that will support you, and you can raise enough money for your creations. And this is a perfect example. Shout out to Sammy, who's always in the community. And there's a new whale in music NFTs. As you can see, Sound.xyz is one of the most popular music NFT platforms. They have a leaderboard of a collector who's collected the most music NFTs. It's usually been Koopa who's always been at the top, but ever since Sammy's drop, an ETH whale called Dave came in and minted 1,400 of these song NFTs and instantly became the top person on the Sound.xyz music collector leaderboard. So I don't know who this guy is, but a huge whale has just gotten into the music NFT space. Shout out to him. Shout out to Sammy. Hopefully something's brewing here. That's all we got for you guys. I hope that this was helpful in getting you caught up to date with everything happening in Web3. If you have any questions, reach out to me on Serpunk or through Web3 CFL. And we'll love to chat with you guys. Provide any feedback. We'd love to get some feedback to see how we can improve the show. And if not, I hope you guys have an incredible Sunday. And we'll catch you next week for another episode of Web3 Weekly Alpha. This is Serpunk. I'm out. Peace.
Started off with a bit. Now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1. Hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream. Now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems. Topping the pyramid schemes. I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince. You'll set it up.